Alright, what's going on, guys? It's been a little bit since last time I talked to you. So, welcome to my second video. Welcome to my channel. Excuse the appearance. Just haven't gotten a haircut in a little bit, and I probably won't in a while because this pandemic is still going on. Still quarantined to the house. Can't really leave. Can't really do much. Nothing is really still open. So, gonna have to look like this for a while and just deal with it. So, title of this video I started to name it was my thoughts on a college degree. So my thing is, I'm 22 now, just graduated, about to graduate from college, still trying to finish these last few classes out. I just forgot what I was going to say. I'm about to enter the workforce, basically. Something we all are eventually going to do, and then eventually that we're all eventually told is the goal, basically, is that graduating from college is this big achievement, which it is, it definitely is, and I think I definitely have grown a lot and learned a lot in my 4 years at school, being on my own. But things that what people don't tell you is basically that you're going to be working for the rest of your life, because depending on some people might have less, some people have more, but student loans. So some people, they've definitely taken out huge loans just to go to school, and some of them have probably gone out of state, and out of state is probably even more expensive. I chose to stay in an in-state school. That was just an hour and a half from where I lived, and it was right by New York, so, and that's where I wanted to go. I was thinking about I wanted to go somewhere. I wanted to be away from home, enough to be away, but also be close enough where I can go home. So it's about an hour and a half, like I said, and it's right by New York, right by up north, so it's a completely different setting, different surroundings, and it was definitely a big adjustment my first year or so, 2 years, something different, but then eventually got used to everything. So my thing is, like, towards the end of my senior year, just recently, I just started to think about it more. Like, I was thinking about all the loans I took out, and I didn't realize in reality like how much loans I started taking out. So I called the bank up with my dad, talked to them about it, asked them like, hey, like, I want to know how much I'm gonna end up paying, how much I owe, the interest rates and everything. So called the bank up. They told me that I owe about $90,000 in debt. And when I heard that number, I was like, my heart dropped. I was like, whoa. I was like, what? $90,000? Like, no way. Like, that's how much money I owe? And I was thinking, yeah, that is how much money I owe. Because I would take about $20,000, each semester. No, it would be each year. So each semester would be like about 10,000 roughly, somewhere around there. And I was like, wow, I really owe all that money. And in the time, like, when I was taking out those loans, it didn't really come to my head, like, these numbers that I just knew in my head that these were numbers and that I needed this money right now. But it never really came to me that I someday was going to end up having to pay all this, which is as stupid as that sounds. Yeah, it was stupid. At the time, the only thing I was thinking about was I get to get away from here, I get to get away from this little bubble I'm in, this town, it's so boring. And now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, wow, like, I could have maybe went to community college for like 2 years, saved some money, and then went wherever I wanted after that. Like, in reality, like, I don't really regret going away for college, because I think it was the best idea, idea, opportunity, whatever you want to call it, for me. Because I had definitely grown a lot. The person that I was graduating high school is way different now than the person that's graduating college. So my thing is, let's talk about college degree. So basically, we're taught on this upbringing that we're supposed to go to school. That's the right thing to do. That we're just taught by our parents, taught by our teachers, and it's constantly just pounded into our head that if you don't go to school, if you don't go to college, you're not gonna get a job, and your life is just gonna be ultimately nothing. And it's just funny but they never tell you what the other side of that. So we're ultimately taught, like, my thing is now during this pandemic, I'm graduating literally in the midst of all this going on, about the stock market crashing, of everyone getting laid off. Like, I think like 3.83 million Americans just applied for unemployment the other week. Like, that's crazy. That's a huge number. I know some people that have had to apply for unemployment just because they have student loans that they still have to pay off, and they gotta somehow eat. You gotta put food on the table. So my thing is now is like, I'm about to graduate, and for sure right now, like, it's gonna be pretty tough. I think it was gonna be tough before finding a job, but I think now it's gonna be even tougher finding a job. And ultimately, that's okay. Like, I understand, like, things happen. Like, this is definitely, no one wanted this to happen. And my thing is now, like, so what happens when ultimately that getting a job isn't the best idea right now? So, yeah, towards the end of my senior year, I've just been looking on YouTube and everything, just trying to find different ways of income, like, to use my skills as a graphic designer, see if I could profit off that. And there were some helpful things they were saying about freelancing and all that. And ultimately, would like to do that. But my ultimate goal basically now is just to be basically an entrepreneur. So I've been reading this book by Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant. Great book. Recommend it. Wasn't told to put this in my video or being sponsored by it, but I wish I was. That'd be great if you want to sponsor me. But the thing he talks about in this book is basically how we are taught at a very young age every day to go to school, graduate, and get a job. Like, get a job means getting a job is ultimately going to solve everything. But in reality, it's not. Because he talks about it in the book also that and he says in the book how every average person lives through about 3 recessions in their lives. So I'm 22 right now. There was a crash of 2008 that happened, and that was about 12 years ago. So I was 10 at the age, I think, if my math is right. Might not be. I was 10 at the age. It didn't affect me because I was 10 years old, still was banking on my parents, like, living off them. They were taking care of me. I wasn't really working, so they didn't really understand what was going on around me. But now I'm 22 and I'm living through this recession and it's like, this is the first time where it's actually affecting me now. And I'm like, wow, like, that's where, and people are losing their jobs left and right. People are applying for unemployment. And it's like, now it's like, what about the kids that are just graduating, like me, getting into college? Like, what happens to them? So that's where I just started to think, like, everything about this book. He said that sometimes job security isn't the best thing, isn't the greatest idea, because in reality, like, there's no such thing as security. Because my thing is, in the likelihood of something like this happening again, like a pandemic or the stock market crashing and companies losing, businesses closing, like, what happens to the employees that work in those companies, like those businesses? Like, they're ultimately going to lose their income, their source of way to live. So my thing is, we're told get a secure job, but in reality, it's not 100% guaranteed that it's secure. Because one day something just like that, and you could get fired, you get laid off, you gotta start filing for unemployment, and then all those bills that you've racked up, your credit card bills or your student loans or everything like that, you gotta pay. You still gotta pay. There's no one's gonna say, no one's gonna give you, the world is tough, and no one's gonna tell you, hey, it's okay that you don't pay your bills, and no one's gonna tell you that, because no matter, ultimately everyone cares about is how they're gonna get their money. So my thing is, he talks about that in the book. He's actually, I feel like he predicted it, that something like this might happen, and it's honestly crazy, because I was a factory conveyor belt. You're put on this conveyor belt, you go through high school, go through college, graduate, and then now you're gonna work for the rest of your life, paying off whatever loans, whatever debt you have. And it's just, I never saw the reason to it when I was in school. Like, like I was thinking, why am I learning about all this stuff that I'm not going to use? Honestly, like, what is algebra or social studies going to do for me when I'm 22 looking for a job? Like, I don't think that's really the same thing. It doesn't correlate those skills. And I don't it and he's basically also said that, Robert Kiyosaki, and he agreed with that. And my thing is so basically now what my goal is for 2020 is basically what I was hoping I could still get is ultimately, I do enjoy graphic design. I have a very creative side, and I obviously would like to still do that, and ultimately whenever have as a side hustle. But mainly, I'll probably look for a job in that when everything all this blows over and it's not as crazy anymore. But yeah. So ultimately, my ultimate goal is to become an entrepreneur. And just basically not look. I'm obviously gonna work for a company just to get my feet wet a little bit. I still need to make some type of income, so I gotta do that. And I don't mind that at all. Learning in the way, like learning from it the best I can. But that's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is not to work for a company for the rest of my life and just racking up debt. I don't want that. I would rather just basically make this path just be different, not follow in. I would like to not follow in everyone's footsteps and everyone's usual journey that they take to adulthood from their 20s, because I ultimately feel like it's just very draining. Just sucks the life out of you. I see people, they go to work every day. They go to work every day. They come home. They eat. They sleep. They wake up. They do it all over again, and they ultimately go to a job that they ultimately hate. That just drains the life out of them. They don't even want to be there. But that takes 8 hours of the day, and then they'll make this usual salary here of 30, 40, 50 a year, and they ultimately feel like it's not enough, because it's not, because they're working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. They're trading their time for money, but ultimately they don't even have time to do what they want. I know people who have graduated from college and they tell me, like, yeah, it's so tiring, like all I literally do is work. All I do is work, and I literally have no time to socialize or even hang out with friends or even make friends. My coworkers at work are my friends. And that's just like ultimately like what is that? Like what is that's living? Like, I don't want to live like that, honestly. I don't want to work some people even work more than that, like 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours a day, like especially those big companies where and you're ultimately working so hard to make other people money. So that's crazy. Alright, so yeah. Little brother just came in. Can I edit that part out? So, like I was saying before, I know these people who work 12 hours a day and they just come home drained. They don't want to do anything. And they just live life for the weekend. And it's like, wow, that is just horrible. And then even ultimately, like, honestly, like even when you graduate after college, like that job isn't guaranteed. It's kind of ultimately who you know. So you might end up working somewhere for a little bit that you might not want to work at. You might just end up, and that sucks too. But like, you gotta do what you gotta do because you got bills. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm using this as hopefully I'm looking back at this video when I'm like 25, 26, and I am ultimately doing what I want to do, is invest and just live, be financially free. I have loans like a lot of people do, and I just think it's not such a bad thing being different, thinking differently. And then kids our age, they ultimately don't think like that. They don't ultimately think investing in their money and saving and... Alright, so yeah. What was I talking about? I forget. But I forget what I was talking about. Talking about graduating. My little brother keeps coming in and I just keep forgetting where I left off. But I think where I left off was just talking about graduating. Oh, talking about kids my age, like 20 years old, 20 and out. They think I'm just gonna find a job, work, and then on the weekends I'm gonna go out and just drink and hang out with my friends and just go out to eat, and then they're gonna do the same thing over again next week. They're gonna go through 5 days just working for a company, and then same thing on the weekend. And there's nothing wrong with that. If people enjoy where they're working at, there's no problem with that. But this is my thing is like I don't want to just look forward for the weekend. You know what I mean? I don't want to just live for the weekend. I want to live every day. I want to live from Monday to Sunday. I want to do what I want. And I feel like there is ultimately a way. And I just feel like just enlightening yourself and reading books and just like trying to follow these footsteps of these people who realize what the system is and how it is projected to be basically just be an employee. We're taught basically we go to school to just basically be taught to be an employee, because ultimately all those things that we learn is ultimately for nothing. We're not going to use it when we grow up. I'm not going to need to know biology unless I'm going to be a doctor. And ultimately I did that. I went through 4 years of science in high school, then I did another 2 or 3 in college, and I'm like, wow, I paid all that money just to learn something that I wasn't even interested in or don't even want to know. So yeah, it's my rant for today, talking about ultimately I think you should definitely invest in this book. Great book. Enlightens a lot of things, talks about just thinking outside the box, just thinking outside the social norm. Recommend that. Yeah. So if you like my video, give it a like, give me a thumbs up, please. Subscribe, whatever, all that good stuff. Just on the way up. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.